Welcome back. All right, so news of the day. Some big news, some funny stuff going on towards the bottom here. But I haven't decided yet. I know it's April Fools and all that. I know it's April 1st, but I've only got an hour and a half left if I'm going to produce and upload anything April 1st related. I didn't do anything April 1st related last year because it didn't seem like a funny time for anybody. And the year before I did a career of a player that doesn't exist. So, yeah, I haven't made up my mind. And the year before, I think it was when I did the Alexei Ashen appreciation night for the Senators. And then there were people saying, yeah, no, that's a good idea. And I'm like, all right, fine. Ruin the joke. So, why do you ruin the joke? So, all right. From last night's action, there's been some player safety discussions for today. Nathan MacKinnon's been fined $5,000 for returning Connor Garland's helmet to him. Just, here you go. Garland said thank you. That's not what happened. What happened was, I hate to say it was funny, but it was funny. Because Garland didn't get hurt. Now, if Garland got hurt, then it's not funny. But it was funny. And so MacKinnon probably like, okay, $5,000. Sure, I'll pay $5,000 to smack him in the head with his helmet. And it hit him in the chest and also hit him in the chin. And either it hit him in the chin or Garland was like, embellishing it. I don't know. It would have been great if it was a 10-minute misconduct for MacKinnon and then they gave 2 minutes for flinching to Garland and you have a power play for the Avs. 2 for flinching should totally be a penalty. Anyways, but again, if MacKinnon was throwing a helmet at me, that would be less funny. So yeah, that's it. MacKinnon $5,000. I know people get mad about the amount that the fines are, but the fines are set by the CBA. The money goes back into like player programs and stuff. So, and again, do we really want to see players losing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on something like this? Like it's yeah, anyways, so yeah, MacKinnon's probably like, yeah, that's the best $5,000 I've ever spent. And there'll probably be other players calling, going, so listen, when we play Arizona, can I really hit Connor Garland with his own helmet for $5,000? I'm asking for a friend. Chandler Stephenson will have a hearing today, so this will not be a fine. This will be a suspension. And I'm thinking probably a game, maybe 2, for the elbow on Bjornfot, which was also kind of an interference play because the puck wasn't anywhere near there. And it looked bad. Bjornfot was bleeding, and I'm pretty sure he stayed in the game, though. But yeah, it didn't look great. Stephenson was given a game misconduct on the play. It was a 5-minute call. They reviewed it. And they said, yep, that's a good call. And so he was out of the game, and now he's got a call with player safety. And again, I know people are going to compare it to the McDavid thing and all of that, but I can understand why the NHL would see the Stephenson hit as being worse. One thing that I've found too, though, and I've noticed this a lot, is that people will have certain players they really hate. So when an incident takes place, they may very well be blinded by the player who did it. And I know people right away will be like, that's Tom Wilson. Yes, on some level, yes. But there are certain players that when they throw a hit or when there's an elbow involved or anything like that, people automatically say, I hate him. And it's like, okay, well, if you hate the player, then you're not going to have any kind of ability to view a hit as anything other than you hating the player and wanting to see him get punished for it. I know I had that problem with Ulf Samuelsson. I had that problem with Ulf Samuelsson when he played. Every time he threw a hit, I'd be, angry about it. Darius Kasparaitis is one that comes to mind too, as a guy who, if he threw, and Brian Marchment was one that, yeah, it got to that point. Matt Cook. There are certain players that just people will automatically gravitate to, and yeah, once you get into that realm, it's impossible to get out of it. You can be clean for years, and as soon as something happens, people go, see, knew he didn't change. I knew. All right. So we'll see what Stephenson gets. There may be another news video later today because we haven't heard yet. We should hear soon on what's going to happen with the Canucks schedule. Probably happen before this video uploads. But I don't wait around all day to see what happens because then that just messes up the rest of my day. Entry-level contracts. After this, Patrick Kane was asked about Hart talk and whether or not he's in the conversation for the Hart. And he basically said Connor McDavid is head and shoulders the best player in the league right now. that he is above everybody else. And it is an interesting question that then gets asked. So the best player is voted on. That's the Lindsay Award, right? That's the players vote on that. Your most valuable player is the Hart. And those two things are not always the same. And it's been a debate on this channel for years. I'll say for at least 4.5 years, the debate has been there about whether or not your MVP should be the best player in the league. So Kane's comment is true that I think McDavid is the best player in the league. But is he the most valuable player in the league? And I think those are two different questions. Because without Kane, Chicago is nowhere near where they are right now. Their record is just absolutely terrible if Kane's not in that lineup. And I don't think DeBrincat would have the goals he has either. Kane and DeBrincat have this amazing synergy together. Symmetry? No, not symmetry. All right, entry-level contracts. The Ottawa Senators making news today. Jacob Bernard Docker has signed an entry-level contract. I'm not going to go into all the entry-level contracts when they get signed, just kind of the high-profile ones. And Bernard Docker is a defenseman. Ottawa fans are kind of salivating at the idea of him being on the blue line for them and helping them out because their blue line's been it's not been great for the last few years, right? So adding Bernard Docker should definitely help. Absolutely. Speaking of blue lines that needed help, Philadelphia has also signed Cam York to his entry-level contract, which is great news for Philadelphia fans. I don't know how much time these guys are going to need in the minors. You've got to think they'll need at least probably some, but it may not be as much as people think. And Alex Newhook signing an entry-level contract with Colorado. So Newhook is the next big name in Colorado, and it's interesting because they're going to run into cap trouble, right? McKinnon's going to need a raise at some point, and Makar's going to need to get paid. Makar is fantastic. So, yeah, Newhook now gets signed on as an entry-level guy. And for Joe Sakic, the key thing is going to be he's going to end up in a Tampa Bay situation where he's going to have to get rid of players because he's not going to be able to afford to keep everybody. So having guys coming in like Newhook, having star players coming in, guys coming in out of either the AHL or whatever means you need that can come in and be useful, which is what's kept Tampa afloat, can keep Colorado afloat as well. That's really, to me, the difference between a good organization and a great organization. The great organizations, they don't just draft well. They know how to find their free agents. They know how to develop guys in the minors who could come in and contribute. It's one of the reasons why Pittsburgh has been a great organization for a long time. And Colorado now, I think, is getting into that conversation too. But, yeah, Newhook signing there is a pretty big deal. And we'll see how long it takes before he's taken a regular shift with the Avs. So, yeah, waiver wire today. Ennis being waived by Edmonton. Not really a surprise there. He should clear. Gusev is not a surprise, but if I had told you a year and a half ago, so Nikita Gusev, who just got traded to New Jersey and just signed that extension, he's going to be on waivers in 2021. People would have called me crazy. They would have said, nah, this guy's great and he's going to be awesome. And that was the expectation, right? There was a lot of hype about him when Vegas had his rights. That Tampa traded his rights. They're going to regret that. That's going to be so regretted, and it really hasn't been. Gusev had a half decent season last year, no puck luck. This year, nothing. It's been, and whether it's a bad fit with New Jersey, whatever it is, Gusev has just fallen right off the map. So, yeah, we'll see whether or not anybody picks him up. I don't think so, not with that contract, but this is just to move him to the taxi squad. And Matt Luff is on waivers for LA. He's a decent depth forward. I understand why they waived him. We'll see whether or not he sticks around. Maybe it's going to be like Amadio, where he gets waived and then gets traded for Wolanin, who'd also gotten waived. So I saw a comment in the quick comment section yesterday about why would you trade somebody. Why is it easier to trade a person after they've cleared waivers? So there's really a simple way to put this. So let's just say you want to trade Nikita Gusev. And so New Jersey goes to, say, the Rangers. The Rangers say, okay, we'll take Gusev and we'll give you whatever, right? And then the Rangers get Gusev, but they want to put him on the taxi squad. Well, now they have to waive him. They might lose him for nothing. So if New Jersey says, all right, we'll work out a deal with it. First, we're going to waive him. So they waive him. They put him through the waiver wire. Nobody takes him. That means when the Rangers get him, they don't have to waive him. They could just put him straight on the taxi squad. So that's why Wolanin for Amadio happens, because you don't have to worry about waiving them again to put them on the taxi squad. You can just say, yeah, they're on the taxi squad, and that's it. So you have a 30-day period where you don't have to worry about waiving a guy again. And so that's why it's a guy gets waived, it might be a sign they're getting traded, because then they're more attractive as a trade option. Because then I, as a GM receiving that player, I don't need to waive him. I don't need to worry about trading an asset for somebody who I'm going to lose for nothing. So that's the concern. All right. Also, if you're a Sens fan, Matt Murray's off the IR. We'll see how that goes for the Sens. Sorry, I'm jumping around the board here, but it's kind of just the way this is set up. I want to talk about the ELCs altogether and make sure I didn't forget to talk about Patrick Kane comments about McDavid. Jordan Kawaguchi. So NCAA players will generate a lot of interest at this time of year, especially those who haven't been drafted that are just a free asset, right? So general managers will kind of get into a bit of a bidding war and, sort of a, well, we'll promise you this, promise you that. And Kawaguchi is signed with Dallas, which is what the rumor was all along, that he was going to end up going to Dallas. There's always overhype from media. I think there's some overhype maybe from some fans as well. But you're getting a free asset. So for Dallas, if Kawaguchi doesn't work out, oh well, it's a free asset. It's a signed contract. Under you have 50 contracts you're allowed to carry. And, if he doesn't work out, all right, well, you've got 49 other contracts where you get ones that may. But yeah, so he chooses to sign with the Dallas Stars, and there's other NCAA names that are out there, and we'll see where they end up signing. One conversation that came out of yesterday's signing of Thatcher Demko, which is a contract that carries risk. I understand that. But I also believe that Demko is one of the best goalies the Canucks have had. So I think the risk is worth it. I think the reward is still pretty high. All of Canuck Twitter seemed to agree too with the signing of Demko being a good idea. So that's rare. It's rare for all Canuck fans to agree on anything. And then also it's agreed that we all think Ian Clark being brought back is important. You look at the scouting instance with Brackett leaving the team and all the frustration that Canuck fans had with that. If Ian Clark ended up going to another team, I guarantee you would see the exact same reaction from Canuck fandom, realizing that there are certain really talented people in the organization that it's important you keep around. And Brackett was one of those guys, and now you got Clark, and hopefully he gets retained and brought back, because a good goalie coach can make all the difference. Isn't that right, Islander fans? All right. Now, the Kingston Frontenacs put out something today, being April 1st and all of that. And there were some people who didn't get it. So I want to talk about it here because I think it was really funny. So they posted that they're pioneering something brand new. They're leaders and innovators. That they're going to have letters on the back of their jerseys instead of numbers. So it's going to be the name bar at the top and then 2 letters underneath. Now, I thought to myself, if somebody actually did that, you'd have like almost not an endless combination of letters you could use, but you have a lot of, you can have fun with that. But I also realized it's April 1st. It's a joke. They're not serious. Some people didn't think it was a joke. Now, if the Kingston Frontenacs decided to actually put jerseys out like that and have fans bid on them and, proceeds go to charity, like they have with the Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys, you could totally do Kingston Frontenacs jerseys and get giant letters for the back. You can have it just a custom. Just say we're gonna do 200 custom jerseys, just whatever name you want on it, whatever 2 letters, and then you're stuck with it. But yeah, I thought it was a funny post, but there were some people who didn't get it. So yeah, kudos to Kingston for doing an April Fool's joke that's entertaining. I always like April Fool's jokes that are entertaining, that are original, and they're not mean-spirited. So that's the key thing to me, is as long as it's not mean-spirited and overly cruel. But there you go. Let me know what you guys think about that or any of the topics on the board. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.